That's what. 214414.
141.
214141.
Yep.
How could that have changed?
Should have changed. Okay. Technical issue may be resolved, maybe.
Kings and Generals, you ever heard of that? Apparently they have games on the internet, and also they have YouTube stuff. They have a series on the Ukrainian war, day by day, what happened. War. And also, they also do computer simulation, and they wanted to simulate taking out the bridge between Russia and a peninsula going toward Ukraine, going down into the sea. And they wanted to see if they could take out this Russian bridge with F-35 and F-22s coming out of Turkey. Okay. And see how effective they would be. One of the planes didn't make it back, and also they had some F-15s. They also simulated the S-400s northwest of the target, so they sit some bogies in F-15s coming from the north to have the S-400 focus on them while they were coming up from the south. They were going to fly up and then go down the coast and hit this bridge into Russia to see if they could do it. They did lose one of the planes. Apparently, the MiG jets, the Russians came out, the Su-35s came out again, but if they use their afterburners, they can't fly across the Black Sea with the afterburners on there out of gas. So
Really?
Yeah, they were coming after them and put the afterburners on, and then the Russians are notorious for not having good mileage on that.
Yeah.
And so they came part of the way out, and they had to turn around before they got to them. And if you come out with the afterburners on, they can't do it. So the 35s, Americans, they did have to splash one of them. It didn't ran out of gas. They went too fast, used the afterburners too fast.
Yeah,
They had to come in fast because they had right outside, they had boats to the north and south of the bridge. So they had to avoid the boats, and they had to, their stealth. But if you get right up on a S-400, they can see you, but it's like 10 to 12 miles. That's about it. They weren't sure what sort of protection they had, so they had to use the afterburners for the last 10 miles, 10, 15, 20 miles. It was
Hello,
interesting.
Art.
Hi there, how you doing?
All right.
Can you hear me?
They
Yeah,
do a lot of
we heard you.
simulation. Yeah, and they
Okay.
simulate, the refueling. They refueled over northern Turkey. I guess it was.
That in-air refueling is cool. I wish I could do that with my car.
But they
Just link up to a tanker truck that's cruising down the road, no
Yeah.
problem.
So they simulate everything. They simulate all the World War II stuff. They simulate shooting down the shootdowns that occurred, and it's pretty interesting. Simulation is pretty interesting. There's a
Hello.
lot of them. Hey.
I apologize. I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Osmond.
Osmond? Member in the club group.
Ah,
I mentioned this.
cool.
Welcome.
This is this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's art, and that's art in California.
If it doesn't have that little door, it
Right.
certainly doesn't.
No,
That is a-
no.
Huh.
I mean, I opened it up and I see, there's only Wi-Fi connection.
Did you get the audio working?
It's also, not also, with a for Bluetooth.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's working with the Bluetooth, but directly right now I haven't been able to, but I'll check. I'm sure it's a driver issue. They said that right now the kernel doesn't have the support for it.
Yeah. Probably is. Just a matter of finding. it.
Finding
Your
exactly.
video is muted. Jim,
Yeah, oh, video. Oh,
the
yeah.
video.
I have to turn both of them on. Yeah, I got links to those. Could the U.S. Air Force strike and penetrate Crimea and bomb reinforced Kerch Bridge? And how Ukraine won the first phase of the war. Modern warfare documentary. That's some pretty interesting stuff. Don't start watching it unless you have a couple hours though.
I'll have to do it at work.
Nobody wants to see
I'm
me
waiting for the
anyway.
computer to do stuff. I can watch TV.
He's just waiting for me to get the camera on him where he didn't want to watch it unless he was on TV.
No. I'm thinking about the robot, but I
Oh,
was gonna wait, see if Vicente or other people
that's a good idea.
showed up.
So we can get other stuff,
We can
get everybody else's
For a little
stuff
bit.
going and yeah, get all the superfluous stuff. That's why I got my book stuff. I don't have any new books this week.
Okay, they said, yeah, the older ones. Yeah,
So Pop OS was based on Ubuntu also.
right. Right. And, but I thought somehow that it had some older memory. Usage. I don't know, it seems like it's using so 800.
So Leroy, is this the same?
Oh, he's got a
We lost your
laptop similar to
audio,
yours.
Art.
Yeah.
You
I
started off
I saw
and
it from the Linux.
I could see you talking, but I can't hear you now.
He gets them cheap, I tell you.
Can't hear you.
60
I
bucks.
can see you talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, but yours was open, right?
Yeah.
This is brand new. Unfortunately, yeah, I'd like to have an earlier.
How about now?
Okay,
Did you have the ink seat?
you're better. I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know why, but for some reason or other, the audio on this system has a mind of its own.
Well, you know, it's a computer. None of
Yeah.
them know what they're supposed to do.
I know. You do 4. Oh.
No more.
you- I've never seen that. I mean, there's this, right?
My Argus 2, my Argus 2 wire-free camera, I'm having to use it for the hummingbirds. And it's been out there 2 weeks on with the solar panel kind of pointed toward the sun, and it's been still at 100% charge. So I'm pleased with that. What you
So
don't,
go ahead.
what you don't have with the Argus series, a wire-free camera, is you don't have the notification. At least on my two, you don't have the notification that somebody's triggered it. You get the pictures, but you don't get notified. It doesn't have that as an option for some reason. But it's doing, I get about 20 pictures a day of hummingbirds.
But you take those manually.
No, it's automatic. It's got both of my wires free have PIR. And the hummingbird triggers it.
So it triggers it to take a still, not to take a video.
It takes videos. The wire frees only take videos.
Okay.
But the deal is, and you don't need still frame because each frame is as good. Each frame is as good as a still picture.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, all this new stuff, all the new cameras I got, a still frame is as good as a video frame. Same thing.
Okay. Cool.
But if
So
you look at prowlers, they're not good for that because it's not going to notify them.
yeah, flowers don't tend to move very fast.
It'll catch them. It just won't notify. There's no notification on.
Okay.
All my other Reolink cameras, it'll beep you if you want it to. These don't have that feature.
That's interesting. Now, can you futz with the firmware on that at all or not?
You can upgrade the firmware, but that's about it. What do you want to tinker with?
Well, I was wondering if there's maybe a toggle in there that toggles the beep on or off. I mean, if you can get into the firmware, a lot of times you can set different parameters.
Okay.
How long, when motion triggers it, how long is the default video then?
It has a 5-second buffer, a pre-scan. So when it triggers, you get 5 seconds before, but how long does it stay on? I think it's adjustable. I don't know. I have to look at those particular cameras. I don't know how long the default is. The pre-buffer is 5 seconds though.
So basically it's maintaining a 5-second trailing buffer all the time. And when it detects motion, it then instantiates that.
Yeah, and it's probably because they have to boot them. It boots. When it triggers, it just booted and there's a time delay before it starts taking recording. That's why they use the buffer probably.
Okay.
Buffer.
Now, do you put an external buffer in there like an SD card or whatever, or is it built in?
Now you have to put I use a SD card you know, you don't have to. I actually, for that camera, most of my cameras, I have the SD cards. You have to have an SD card if you're going to record at the camera, but some of them I do both. And I don't know if the the wire-free ones doesn't support my iSpy.
Okay.
It has to be smart enough to wait for it to boot and say connect up and wait for it to boot and then download.
So what size SD cards will they take?
I think most of the Rio links are 64 gig. I think the later models, I'm sure the 3 supports 128 gig, but that's as high as I know they go, 128 gig. Maybe the later models may support more, but they were at 128, which is quite, with that compression and motion detect, should be months.
Yeah, that's plenty. One of the things that annoys me about the Wise cameras is, of which I think I have like 22 or 23 now. One of the things that annoys me about that is it'll only take a 32 gig. That's the maximum it'll take.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you're kind of limited. And given how cheap flash memory is these days, you know, you can put a 512 in there for, I don't know, what's the latest Micro Center price on 512s?
I haven't looked recently.
You gotta look.
I've got a 512 not too long ago for like $40, I think.
I was gonna say, you have to kind of look weekly because the price is monotone decreasing these days.
I'm looking. Hey, it's Vicente. See, I knew I knew.
Wow. Wow.
It's Vicente in
In,
life.
in person, no less. You didn't bring your hound with you.
Hi, where are you?
I'm looking at for a
Good.
price test, which I clicked on something that's not even close to what I wanted.
So at least you guys are having some cool weather.
Are we?
Well, compared to the triple digit we've got coming up here within the next 2 or 3 days, it's cool.
20 bucks at the new egg for a
It's
512 gig.
60 for a name brand.
20 for an off brand.
Well, let's see, from Newegg, it does, it's, yeah, they don't tell the memory. Let's see, let's get one. The SanDisk was 55, yeah.
55 for a 512 for Micro Center.
That's the SanDisk version, or that's
the SanDisk was 60, 57, 58, and the Micro Center brand was 55.
Oh, okay.
So not much different. Not
Probably wouldn't want the Micro Center one for the camera. It wouldn't last very long.
I've not really had. I haven't used the 512s, but I've not really had any problem with their SD cards. Their USB sticks I've had problems with.
Yeah, they get slower.
Yeah. So
I had the impression that their cheapo brand was in fact relabeled SanDisk.
somebody at Micro Center told me that once, who was an employee. So
But be aware, the ratings on them vary. Is it a 10?
It says it's a 10, class 10.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean what it used to mean. So I often wonder if they haven't gotten some seconds in there.
Yeah.
Because some of them are a little flaky.
I've been using the Samsung high endurance cards, smaller ones, 64 gigs. And the camera in my car has been recording continuously over and over and over. It's about 2 weeks worth. Over a year now. It's still going. I pull it out every month or so. Yep, still there.
Still there. When I had a camera in the car, my camera would actually tell me when the disc failed. It would say disc bad, or it was broken English. It was broken Chinese English. But it would say something that you knew it meant that the disc had failed. Which would be horrible if you were actually in a wreck and you needed the disc to actually work.
Well, it depends on whether you were at fault or the other guy was at fault.
Exactly. Yeah,
How's it going?
this project, it's
It looks nice.
Very
Rated
pretty.
How about a 30 terabyte drive from Walmart for 39, solid state drive for $39?
is that the one with the two SD cards built into it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had to withdraw them from sale.
gotta love that thing.
So that's an SSD.
It's a
No.
fake.
It's supposed to be SSD.
And-
It's got 2 SD cards in it with a board.
And it should.
It says it's 30T, but after you've written 128 gigs or 32, something, whatever, you're overwriting
Same thing.
data. You can pull the last 32 gigs.
I saw
Interesting.
There's a bunch of YouTube videos about not that particular one, but ones like it. Some of them have like 4 SD cards in them, which is amazing. Until you realize that it's still only 32 gigs.
Yeah.
The cards turned out to be 512 megabytes each.
Up to a meg on my
Meg.
half a gig.
Exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's your 30 terabyte drive right there.
I got a bunch of 512s. They're pretty handy. Enough to put a little bit of stuff on, so here, take it. Make it go away.
You know, 512s or even 1 gig would be perfect for like some of these smaller projects. Because this has a 16 gig card in it, and I've got a boot, I've got a picture, and I've got something else, and it's all probably less than a K. Maybe a meg. I mean, the picture might actually be bigger than the boot file.
Mhm.
You ready for this?
You don't have seeds.
How are you identifying the property tax? Is OpenCV?
I'm using the M5, stick, April tag program. Their example program. Changed it just slightly so that it sends it down the serial port instead of, so it's constantly just sending data down right now. I'm not sure that I like. may change it so that this has to request. And then it sends. Right now it's working, sort of. They figured out how to dim the screen on this thing so that it doesn't use as much power. Figured out how to turn the screen completely off on this thing so it doesn't use as much power. Which, when this was shoved up under there, I was like, why do I need the screen? Now that I got it out. And obviously I attached ribbon cable to it so that it could still drive the robot around.
Did you charge the battery before coming here? Yeah.
I had it on the charger. I'm not guaranteeing that it's charged. The program that I've got on it right now is just a test program. It won't actually drive the robot anywhere, so I'm not worried about the robot battery. But what it's supposed to do right now, because I've been working on trying to get it to give the proper orientation that it's sitting at. So, right, top, bottom, left. So right now, it's about between 80 and 90% of the time it is telling me the right direction. So it's a whole lot better.
On power up or after moving?
No, it will not move. It's just looking at the tag because I figured out that's what the rotation does.
Okay, the rotation and then
Oh.
that number. Okay.
The rotation will tell you the orientation of the tag. So just kind of reversing it. So if it sees the tag in this direction, then it's got to be facing it. So I sat there for probably 4 or 5 hours with just a tag in my hand going, that's interesting. And once I realized that it was giving me the same numbers all the time, I was like, okay, that's what this thing is actually doing. Yes, my camera is dead. Of course it is. Why would I actually want to have a charged camera? Hang on. Biggest drawback to this setup is
I got X wrenches if you want to loosen screws.
if I lose the screws, then I won't know where it's at.
Can you go through the end parallel to the back piece? Looks like there's just enough room.
Actually, it doesn't like that this one cable. The thing is
Tether.
I also make it straight. Okay, so it's on. It's in very low. So should in theory it should have already told me where it's at. Oh, can you not see the tag? Let's give it a couple seconds. Let's see if it just needs to be charged.
It's warm up.
I actually had this working. It was amazing. It was actually about 80% of the time it was telling me the right direction.
But did you have it working at the library?
No, of course not. You know the curse of the library. Nothing wants to work.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Several times.
Doesn't really look like. Looks like the camera came on for about 2 seconds. There it goes. Now it said left, which is not right.
Right, of course, yeah, yeah. It can't be right.
I also changed the program so that in 10 seconds it'll restart and I could just, so I didn't have to keep turning stuff on and off all the time. And you know, of course, that doesn't look like it's working. The 10-second thing doesn't look like it's working. Let's try this again.
Years ago, I was working on Cisco stuff. And when you make a change, it's immediate. If you don't tell it to write it to Flash, it goes away on a reboot. I didn't write it to Flash on purpose. Something was wrong and they called me at home. I could tell them to go in and restart the router and they'll be fine. We'll go back to the previous version. And then after a week or so, I'd go in and I'd write the changes. Sometimes I forgot to write the changes and I'd make new changes. And the thing that had been working for months would stop working because yesterday's changes broke. And now we're reverted back to 3 months ago. Did you not write to Flash?
Roy, do you have this file in the web page?
This glorious file here costs $15 to print.
I have the same hardware, except the robot, but I can try and use your.
I made a, in the GitHub repository, I made a new repository that's all the maps and everything.
But I tried something, I would use your same map.
What's the link to it, Leroy?
It should be in the email. Not guaranteed that it will be, but it should be. It should be a GitHub, a GitHub link.
Oh,
And the repository is just, it's called Innovation Point because that's where we get all our junk for today.
You can use also the Raspberry Pi 0, the camera.
It's almost like this camera is on.
your screen? It just flashed left.
I don't see it, Leroy.
You don't see the link to the repository, or you don't see the repository?
Um,
Turn on screen sharing while you're over here.
Okay, I can do that. I'm not logged into GitHub.
Or you're logging in.
no, Ken.
The background.
Oh, no, that's his
Or you're in
His
California?
California house.
Okay. Because in Middletown, he has the same fence.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know.
very close.
This is California. Okay, let me,
Do you need something?
I assume you're talking about the background.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, this is my backyard, actually, a
You
few
don't see
months
anything?
ago, a couple of years ago, actually.
That's why it's not.
Oh, there you are.
What am I looking at here?
Haven't tried it yet. Got all we can try.
Are you looking at something?
Who, me?
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing. I'm just here.
Yes, you read about that.
I thought you were bringing GitHub up for
I'm
share.
working on it. I was trying.
Okay,
At the end.
Huh?
And the link to GitHub is in the meeting announcement. You're,
I thought.
under links to members projects, or where is it?
no,
Jeff?
let's see, it used to be.
I thought it was. I don't see it anymore.
I don't either.
Let's see, it must have fallen out. Let me check some of my old ones.
I'll find it maybe.
I see all the links to members projects,
Yeah, that's to the old stuff.
That's the old.
but I don't see a GitHub link.
There it is.
Where?
Oh, I'm talking to myself, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as you don't lose the argument, you're okay.
Put it back in the meeting notes. Oh, let's see.
And chat. I'm pasting a link for you there in chat there.
Okay, thank you. I'll just double click on that.
Try this one?
I did.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it.
This one, you have to program all 48
Okay.
tags.
It's
It
shape identification. You need to put all them.
It will read, it shows that it recognizes all the tags, but it
But
won't
not
identify
the
them
direction.
unless you program.
But not the direction.
No, so that's why I went with this camera. Well, it's an M5 stack camera, so it
Yeah. But the processor is
it's the same processor as this.
two or something.
K210,
Yeah, K something.
something like that. But this one, they've got
the same software.
well, they've got their own firmware loaded on this with its own. It's got like 15 or 20 things it'll do.
Inside, you cannot change.
You can, but it's not easy to do. And I just said, I'm not going to mess with it. You can change, you can use whatever Maxi Python IDE with this one too, but it's just not worth messing with. But I had this one in the box because, last week I had talked about setting one up above it.
I like the screen on this one.
So about that high would be where it needed to see the whole entire thing. And that height, it can't read any of my tiny little markers.
Wow.
So I said, no, that's not the right idea anymore. We're not doing that. I
So
said,
you need a motorized gantry so it can be lower, so it can serve.
so it could follow, but there it is. It's right there. There's the motorized gantry. If I could get this stupid thing to work. And I promise it was working.
So that's in the meeting note, meeting announcement. Okay,
Okay.
that
It,
one you
it,
just,
it was there before, I know.
I know it was.
So you put it back in, Jim?
Yep. Yeah, I move stuff around and clean up, and I cut and paste every week. Ah, Kenny's alive.
So,
Coming up for air.
Yeah,
I know.
Leroy watched the episode of Below Deck,
You did.
Down Under, yeah, before we came.
All right.
Yeah,
Right now, it's still saying that it's facing left, which is not true. I don't think.
Maybe it's telling you what direction the tag is facing.
No, I've got the thing so that it's backwards, so that if it's.
All the tags have the same direction.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
this is just not, the camera's just not coming on for some reason. Doesn't like something. Yeah, I know, it's not left. You're getting erroneous information from the camera booting, or trying to boot, or doing something. And left is not what you are.
One option, turn it 180 degrees, then it's right.
Yeah, but it'll still say left, because I think it's getting like a spike off the, when it tries to boot or something, it's getting a erroneous junkage. But
what you receive an angle, a number is with an angle or something.
the rotation that, let's see if I've still got that picture of what it looks like. The rotation that it gives,
You have a bunch of numbers, size, position in the screen, rotation, number of the tag number.
tag number. Here. We won't keep Art guessing what we're doing.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, I see a bunch of JSON
How
records.
many records per second?
Okay, okay.
Probably too many.
Many.
Probably
Rotation is in radians, okay.
too many plus or minus.
Okay,
So
rotation, this is the number.
that's the
1.7.
rotation. One point whatever.
Is it radians?
1.794475 radians.
Yeah, and you see that it changed very little. So what I did, I said with the camera on and moved my other tags, the tags that I printed up and put on playing cards, I moved them around, and I realized that every time it was facing in one direction, it was saying 1.5, 1.6. And every time it was facing in this direction, it was like 0 point something. Or every time it was facing in the opposite direction, it was 2 point something. I'm like, every single time. So I was like, okay, that's not really the way you're supposed to figure out the orientation, but
The
I'm like,
rotation is close to 90 degrees,
yeah.
100 degrees.
So that's a gradient.
I multiply 180 by B, by 3.14,
Yeah,
divide,
divided by.
and then multiply for this number, and you have the degrees. And
Okay.
then you need to decide if it's over or under some point to decide left, right.
If it's left or right, yeah. Well, that's if you're trying to steer though, right? So if you're trying to steer it, you want the,
So all the rotations are positive.
all of them that I saw were positive when I was playing with it. But I like Vicente's way to do it because I couldn't figure out if I put the tag diagonal, I couldn't figure out what it was trying to tell me.
180 degrees divided by P, multiplied by this number, you will have the degrees.
I like that.
Maybe has more sense for you.
The CX and the CY number, that is the center of,
Yeah. So that gives you information on distance too.
there's a height. There's a height and a width. And none of that height and width really should change because they're the same size and they're the same distance away. Except I did notice that they changed just slightly for some odd reason.
You have the numbers to figure out where is the center of your row. Or you need to do a little bit of math.
Yeah. Well, when I was watching what the rotations were doing, I didn't think about if it was a gradient or a whatever. I just said every single time I see this number, it's facing this direction, and every single time I see this number, it's facing that direction.
I'm curious about the negative number in the X translation column.
I'm not. I don't know.
I would expect that to be how much it's moved since the last time it saw it.
I still don't know what hammering and goodness are either. Hammering is always 0 and goodness is always 0.
Hamming in
Hamming,
code is whether or not there are extra bits to use as a
thing.
CRC, basically.
Wow. There's no CRC on this thing. It is what it is.
On things that do have redundancy, maybe it gives you back a number then.
I don't know what goodness is. I had assumed that goodness was trying to tell me how confident it was, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. So I did actually use another number in there that I didn't think I was going to use, and that was the rotation. I wasn't going to use that when I first started. Then I realized what rotation actually was doing.
Hamming codes are a family of linear error correcting codes. They can detect 1-bit and 2-bit errors or correct 1-bit errors without detection of uncorrected errors.
So if it's 0, that means there's no error.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll buy that for $1. I don't know. See, there's the translation, and there's the X rotation and the Y rotation too. And those are different than the rotation. So maybe that's how I figure out if it's diagonal or not off of the X rotation or the Y rotation.
Have info of everything you are doing in the web page. I will ask you by WhatsApp. Because I have the same camera. I can try it.
I haven't published code yet because it is just a mess. And I still haven't quite figured out what it is I'm trying to do. But I'll zip it up and send it to you or something. Just sad. Every time I get down here, my robot decides that it wants to be difficult.
Are they all 3.7 volt batteries?
The battery inside of that camera is tiny.
Would it be possible to just take out the battery and run wires to it to power it? I'm not a big fan of really tiny batteries.
It is a, I don't,
There is a battery inside here.
yeah,
So this Mario controller is very hungry, you know, very power
it
hungry.
is.
I love.
That's why you barely see it. I
Yeah.
dim the
Yeah,
screen as much as I
It
could.
means that the power is too low.
Well, no, in the code, I dimmed the screen on purpose
Okay,
so that it,
how to save power.
to try to save power. This code, I turned it back on, but I've got code that will turn this screen completely off too. I turned it back on just so I could see what it was doing. I don't think this thing was actually plugged in right. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing. Are you seeing me? Okay. You are not left. Definitely not left.
It's
Right,
left over-
right. It said right. It said it. There it is. It's right. And you're not left. You're not left. Stop saying left.
You have a random position generator.
Top.
It's-
Top. It said it. It said it. I need to run through this thing like 2 or 3 times just to get it right. Got him. First time. Woohoo! Get so happy when my code actually does what it's supposed to do.
And right.
Oh, we're not seeing anything, are we? Left. Now, is it left because it's left or is it left because it's an error? Left. I don't want to see to top. And right. So if it's sitting in just the right spot, and if you hold your mouth just right, left. That's not left.
This,
It's these are the boundaries, tags. Bottom. Like I said, about 80% of the time it's correct.
No, more than that now.
So, Save power. Okay, everybody's off. Be just the way it works. So I put these boundary tags, so. Cause
Is
the
the
way,
same value?
yeah, so 202s would be the bottom, 201s would be the right, 203s would be the left, 200s would be the top. The way I envisioned this to work was it was going to see one tag in front of it, and it was going to take this number, 48, and minus it if it was facing this direction, or minus it by 1, so it knew it was sitting on 47. So if it got here, it knew it was almost out of bounds, but it was going to be sitting on 48. At least that's how I envisioned it. How it's going to work, I have no idea. But if it's facing this direction, it would have to add 7 because it would see 40, so it would add 7. So it's 47. And if it was facing this direction, it would add 1. And if it was facing this direction, to start with, it would actually have to turn so that it could see another tag. So it could actually figure out where it actually was on the map. But that's how I envisioned it, how it's going to. So far, nothing about this project has worked the way I wanted it to work. So.
The map is beautiful.
The map is the only thing that's actually turned out
Really
right.
nice. I like the colors.
The map is really the only thing that's turned out right. And you know, I printed that the first map without the April tags on it,
And you stick them.
and I was
everywhere.
trying to sticker them, and it's just on playing cards, and that thing kept pushing the playing cards out of the way.
Okay.
So I said,
The makers.
at the library,
It's on-
Oh.
it's on vinyl.
$15. That was with tax, yeah. It was $14 and some change, and it was $15 altogether, all said and done. Several hours worth of work to actually lay
Yeah,
the April tags out,
a lot of work, yeah, looks like.
but it turned out really nice, and it was well worth it.
What you doing here? All this,
Well, with the failed attempt of the ultra wideband, and that was 10 centimeter distances and whatever. These blocks are 10.58 centimeters. So I just put some numbers on there so we could get an idea of how far it moved or whatever, so we could count the squares. But that's left over from that project that doesn't really matter. I should have marked it, top, right, left, bottom, so nobody could say, well, why is it saying that it's the top? Why is that the top? It's the top because I say it's the top. So each one of these small squares is 2.17 centimeters. So you could go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, which isn't exactly right, but it's close enough for government work. I was trying, when I made that, I was trying to make the big blocks exactly 10 centimeters, and nothing I did would get it to exactly 10 centimeters. So that was as close as I could get it.
this is, what software are you using?
Uh,
Ink Escape,
It's
Escape. But you have it in millimeters in your words.
When I made the grid, you tell it how many, and then you tell it how many to divide it by. And I think it was the divisions that caused it not to go to exactly 10 centimeters. Because I told it to divide it by something and it came up with 2.17.
Okay, depending on the resolution you choose.
Something to fit the map. I think the resolution had something to do with it.
For these kind of projects, I rather like the turtle kind of roads, you know, rotate around your center. I know how much distance each time you apply bolts or something, you need to measure your revolutions or something to know how far are you moving.
So this and this both have a gyroscope in it. So I'm
You need to use some reference because you are making your software, for example, and you check this mark and you say, okay, I will turn left 90 degrees.
right.
So what do you do? A timer and rotate during a time? Or?
Read the gyroscope.
Okay.
Read the gyroscope
That's
for where
your plan,
it is,
plan.
and then using, I think it's the same formula that you gave me for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rotations. You can figure out what the degree is supposed to be, and
Okay,
then you
for
mark
rotation,
the, and then you say it's going to be plus or minus a couple of degrees.
Okay, it works.
And then you can verify it against the tag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the next time.
Yeah, but since both of the processors have a gyroscope, I could verify it off of both gyroscopes too. There's, of course, if I turn the gyroscope on in the stupid camera, I'm using more power, so that's
And the
probably.
gyroscope in the camera may be inaccurate because it's a magnet.
Maybe.
You're gonna have to interpolate between,
You would
if it's
still,
a 6-axis. you
you'd
need to
still
interpolate
have
between two.
the, you'd still be
You
able to
use
read
this-
the yaw, because the yaw is just a swiping back and forth motion.
So it's no longer linear.
Yeah.
Oh.
You need to use this one, the flat one, rotate.
That's the one I was planning on using, was the one on the stick on the seat. But there's dozens of different things you can do.
You know, on a 90-degree turn, it may cancel out. Even though it isn't linear, I think it's still right.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But
what I
in
was.
between, it should be off.
Yeah, the angle doesn't change. You change the plane, the angle, the projection is still the same.
No, it's not.
For the
Take
for
it,
the
take
GY,
it, take it to extremes. Put the camera
the
straight up.
stream doesn't work. I mean, there is a branch that you can
It's,
just the angle.
it's not linear, but at 90 degrees, I think it comes out the same.
Imagine like a clock with points, and the shadow of the angle of the shadows projected in the table are the same. Doesn't matter the angle of your circle. The circle will change the shape, will change the shape, but the angle of the points will be the same.
I think that they should be the same. If you read the one and you read the other one, you can use both of those to compare each other, and it doesn't matter what angle it's actually sitting at. Because you're going to read all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, I was only planning on using one anyway, because that thing's power hungry, it's just power hungry.
I'm saying, bigger battery on it.
I thought about strapping an 18650 on the back of that thing, and just letting it go.
Counterbalance.
Power is, I don't know why that particular camera is so power hungry. They did not design
It's the
that.
microcontroller. It runs at 1 megahertz and uses a lot of power.
But that one uses the same controller and it's nowhere near as power hungry. That one will run on 3 volts.
It's also got more room for a battery.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as power hungry.
How you know, the size of the battery here is really tiny, right?
Tiny, yeah.
And the one that you use for this one,
I've only ever hooked them up to
the size-
a bigger
the size
robot.
of
I've only ever hooked it up to a bigger robot. That's true, but it seems like it's not as power hungry. What's wrong? Huh? You like to
or
work at
you use a wire and hold it while you're testing.
use a nickel Tesla method and just beam power towards it.
Microwaves.
You will go. You will fry everything in its path, but you will go.
Also, these wheels, 4 motors. You break the battery very quickly.
All 3, the robot, the rover, the camera, and the microcontroller all have independent batteries. All 3 of them have batteries. Yeah, it's a tiny battery.
Well, they all 3 LiPo.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all 3 relatively small. I mean, the camera is probably
Teeny tiniest.
I want to say it's probably the same size as what's in the stick C, but it uses more power, so it doesn't last nearly as long.
Yeah, it's doing a lot more computation.
It's doing a lot, yeah. I wanted to use that until I found out that I had to program all 48 of the stupid tabs. Like, no.
And then you won't have the direction, remember?
Yeah.
It's a shape identification. No, the program he is trying to use is an included program that you can take a shape, several samples of the same shape, and it identify the shape. No, it's not the algorithm to
Doesn't give
use
back any other information. It's
just the shape, whatever,
Okay.
whatever shape you want. But the shapes are very close one to another. You will have a
No, it's got an April tag program,
program.
but you have to still program. It will not
The
tell
numbers that,
it will not tell you the number.
but it's a list of numbers.
It will tell you, I think it will tell you the rotation and it will tell you something else, but it won't tell you the tag numbers or any important.
So
You have
That
to,
could be entertaining.
yeah,
Now you just have to figure out where you are on the map. And once you've done
but
that,
this is
keep track.
supposedly this is the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
that their method is So if I had actually brought a cable and we could actually power that up, you'd see there's a button that you hit to make it learn something. So you stick it in the April tag mode, and then you point it at your April tag and you make it learn. But say, for instance, I've got 48 tags.
Mhm.
If I happen to skip a tag, for instance, for whatever reason, or I haven't started yet and I decide that I'm going to start here with number 42, and I hit the learn button, it's going to place that into spot 0, not
Okay.
spot 42, spot 0. So my next tag could be randomly selected over here, and I go, oh, this is tag 36. Click, nope, tag 1. That is, I mean, with it laid out nicely,
Yeah.
I could do it nicely, but it's just, you got to do it 48 times plus the 4 around the border. And then you've got to name them, because it doesn't really give it a name. It gives it a position inside of its memory slot. So then you got to go back in and name them all. And I'm like, no, we'll just use Python that's already got the program. It's already done. It already gives me all that junk some of that junk I don't need, and some of it I'm going to use, and I'm going to be happy. And I'm going to complain the whole entire time because the stupid thing has a small battery in it.
We have to go back to blinking and LID,
You know, I
and we will be safe.
I was thinking about that the other day, because I was like, I really haven't messed with stuff for a couple of years, and I'm like, I'm doing something that I was doing, but now I don't remember how to do this anymore. I almost completely forgot how Python worked. That was fun.
You need to write Python code in this thing, or
No,
are you using
it's
Arduino code?
it's on the camera.
Yeah.
The stick C is using Arduino.
You need to change something.
Yes, which is, it's not, that's not
Looks like you
hard.
have everything in your stream. There is everything. You can use your Arduino code and try to identify what
Well,
is.
and that's what the Arduino code, it sends the entire JSON string down, and the Arduino code just pulls out what it needs.
Are you using a library for JSON
Mhm.
code? Okay.
Yeah, Arduino JSON, or JSON Arduino, or whatever that is. That seemed to me like that was going to be the easiest way to do it, but now I'm kind of on the fence about maybe making the camera listen for the thing to say, hey, send me another picture, but it's just sending everything down, and it seems happy enough to do it. So
It works. Okay, but
the
You could probably lower the refresh rate a lot and save some battery power.
the thing that don't do it. Don't do it.
it's a little.
So yeah, I didn't bring the X thing, but I want it. No, it actually right now I don't know why it's moved again, but I wanted it just to see the tag immediately in front of it, just one tag. So it's moved a little bit again, so now it sees 2 tags.
If you change the angle or the It's not whatever your program need to change.
Yeah,
to adjust.
it probably needs to go back. Probably need to add some more of these stupid things and set everything back a little bit further.
How close can that camera take us?
I don't,
You can see the camera, the image here. So you can try to identify the corners of your image and figure out how is your field of
That's-
view.
that's when I set it, that's what I did in there. I went in and turned the brightness way down. Because the brightness was the only thing I could adjust to. See the camera's down again. There it goes. Let's see if it's. Well. That's really the only thing you can adjust. It doesn't have a way to turn the.
And what's it run? 60 frames, 30, 20, many?
Many, I really don't know.
Is it a thing that you can tell it to?
You can see several simultaneously. If you have two of them, you will have two records instead of one, and so on. So now maybe he has more than 20%, I guess.
I think
If
I
one,
think that's one reason why it's not 100% with this rotation. It's because sometimes it sees another
Yeah, but then it's got two things that should be saying the same rotation.
should, very close to it. isn't it?
no, it must be absolutely the same value.
Well,
I-
yeah, they can be off a little bit just because of pixelization.
Yeah, but I mean, we are talking about 4 directions. So 80% of
All I did in the code, but your way is better, but all I did in the code was ABS, and I knocked off the decimal part anyway, so it's, if it's a 0, it's pointing towards the top. If it's a 1, it's pointing towards something else.
Yeah, but it's pointing to the top if it's 6.24 as well.
Yeah.
So,
But that's why his way
Yeah.
is better, because I just knocked off the decimal part. And so
you could divide it into quadrants easily enough for just rough north, south, east, west, and then get
a
a
rough,
precision within that. It's north plus or minus 20 degrees.
I think the other robot that I did with indoor navigation, I think, of course, it was using different wheels and different motors and everything, but I think when I was using the gyroscope on it, it was plus or minus 5 degrees, which is very, 5 degrees isn't far.
Good.
So plus or minus 20 degrees would be pretty far. Plus or minus a couple of degrees would be all right.
I just meant as
As a rough
error
guess,
from true north or true south, whatever.
a rough guess.
That- Yeah, well, no, that it gives you back a difference. So if you're trying to steer, it knows to correct a little bit.
That's if I remember right, that's how the code worked. So I could tell it to turn to a certain degree, and it would be plus or minus about 5 degrees. And it was plus or minus about 5 degrees because when you put the brakes or told it to stop, there was still some coast to it. Those wheels, I don't know if they coast so much. I think they might actually stop. So
Those are about 200 to 1 gear ratio.
yeah. Those
especially
might,
if you can short them.
yeah, those might actually be able to stop a whole lot better than,
Put AC in.
Ow.
Turn power off, on and off. I like square wave on it.
Turning the power off.
Which
It'll
is
still
different from
coast.
going the
If
other
you
way.
actually short it out, since they're DC
Put
motors,
in,
it's
yeah,
breaking.
yeah.
yeah, I think these will actually, I don't think these coast. Or if they coast, they don't coast
Not
very
far.
much.
Yeah. Go ahead and see if you can push it.
Well, I can,
Really? Oh, no, I meant and turn the wheels.
oh, no. Go, go. Make it go.
Yeah.
No, I think this will be a much better candidate for actually using the gyroscope to steer it to a direction that I want it to be steered to. Whether it's 45 degrees or 90 degrees. And I don't think there will be a lot of coasting.
If you use the gyroscope, you only need to correct occasionally. That'd be handy. Then you could just
What?
turn the camera off for 20 seconds at a time. Turn on, verify where you're at. Yep.
That's why I think it needs a feedback loop so that the controller can tell the camera to just stop or not do anything. But there's no way to actually turn the camera off. There's only a way to like put it away and to put it to sleep for a little bit, but there's no way to actually turn it off.
Well, sleep, I would expect to be very low power.
Yeah,
No? Okay. I have a, if you want to use a little USB power meter, goes down to 1,000th of a watt.
I'd love to know what. I think I'd have to hook a power meter up to the ribbon cable there to actually get what it's doing. That's for the battery.
It's designed measuring charge states. It tells how many milliamp hours have flown through it.
I don't know, it's worth,
Cool.
it's worth, I guess it's worth trying it.
You can certainly see how much goes into it and when you charge it, and then how long it takes to discharge. That'll give you the rate of discharge.
I had, when I was last week, the stick was actually underneath all that. So I brilliantly came up with the ribbon cable. Out of my mess of stuff, I was like, I got a bunch of these ribbon cables I don't use anymore. And my super handy, always special glue gun.
Is this frame came with the camera?
It came with the camera.
Where do you get the camera?
I got this camera from Mauser
Oh,
for $50.
I think it's in Amazon also, right?
Adafruit has 24 of them left. This is the old model. This is they've got a new model out that's $100. This is the model that I'm familiar with. My other one has a cracked screen, so I bought a new one. And when I bought a new one, it came with this mount, which the other one did not come with.
In
A little can,
like a case, yeah.
like a film can.
African, yes.
Yeah.
Very, very small.
Yeah, this one came in a big thing and had this and
And the price also.
$50. And I think when we bought them years ago, they were 75, weren't they? Something like that. So the new camera is Linux based.
Yeah.
I don't know how much power it uses or anything, but it's about the same size as that. It's supposed to be better. It's supposed to be a lot better, and it's got a very tiny version of Linux running on it.
Okay.
So depending upon what you want to do, it may be a better option, but Mauser had, I think they had 70 of them left, and Adafruit had 24 of them left. But they're old. They're old cameras at this point, and newer stuff is out.
What's the resolution?
It's the 760 something, 760/60 camera, but I don't know what the resolution of that is. The OV7660. It's pretty
The
small.
brand is 5-stack.
Do I?
The brand
Yeah, M5 stack.
5-stack.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't have.
It might be a 2 megapixel camera, but I don't think it is. I think it's even smaller than that. VGA.
Kendra K210.
That's the chip. That's the processor chip. Yes. It's a VGA camera. Art
Okay, I'm just looking it up.
640 by 480 and whatever. It's kind of a crappy camera. And the Python code that's on it right now is QQ VGA, so it's even quarter of that.
What is the M5 stack timer camera X?
That is ESP32 based, and it comes on and takes a picture and turns itself off and goes to sleep and comes on and takes a picture and turns itself off and goes to sleep. It seemed utterly pointless to me, and I have no idea why they actually did that. There must be a use case for it somewhere.
So you said this is an M5 stack?
Yep.
And 5-stack.
The camera itself is called an M5 Stick V, as in Victor.
Ah, I see it. That's the one that's $49.95.
$50, yeah.
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 And
But
that is,
Before you commit to anything, look at the V2, the Victor 2 model, because it may actually be a better camera. It's also more expensive.
$100?
I think it was $79 or $80, something like that. I also think that it's out of stock in a lot of places too.
I've got another M5 stack here, which is an ESP32, which is an 8 megabit.
Which one is?
Well, I just went to Adafruit, did a search on VGA camera, and I got 5 hits there.
Yeah. The K210s are the ones that are trainable with Python. They take the learning model. They've got the AI stuff going on in them, but they're
Thanks a lot.
the ESP32s. They usually a lot of them will do facial recognition and stuff like that, but they're far harder to get it to do actual AI stuff.
Okay,
It's just the type of processor. You know, the K210 was designed to learn models and work on the training models and stuff like that, where the ESP32 was made to work like that, not designed to work like that. Did that make sense?
I have fruit.
Yeah.
$50,
$50.
but just the camera. Right?
hmm
Well, if it's the same camera that I got, if it's the same in the same batch, then it'll come with the mount and everything too. But yes, I know Mauser has this batch with the mouse and stuff. That is a cool mount. I got that now. I was like, oh yes, this was going to solve a whole lot of problems.
Also has a black. Oops.
That's probably one of the new ones. They have, I think they have 3 new AI cameras that, one of them doesn't even come with a lens. It doesn't come with the camera part at all. It's just the AI for doing training models and stuff.
You attach your own camera? to
You
it?
could attach your own camera to it. One of them comes with the camera, and one of them is that Linux-based thing that kind of reminded me of how the Jalvis cameras were. The JVOS, or however you want to say that camera. But they seem like they seem like
I think that the cheaper option will be use the Raspberry Pi Zero plus the camera, or under $20 or something.
Are you getting a Raspberry Pi Zero for $20?
he's probably still got a stack of.
Yeah.
$5. How much is now?
I haven't seen a Raspberry Pi Zero in a while.
I have like 2 dozens in a drawer. We used to buy 1 or 2 each time we went to
Micro
the
Center.
Yeah.
center.
$5,
a
you can't
parking
beat 'em.
ticket, you know.
I think I have 3 of them. One of them's in the car.
Well, you can attach a camera and use.
Raspberry Pi. We could be millionaires with the amount of Raspberry Pis we have.
Yeah.
Between the 3 of us,
I had more 4s than 0s.
Raspberry
I
Pi.
think I've got 8 Raspberry Pi 4s.
I've got 3 that I know of, and one of them is in the 400. I've got one of the 400 keyboards that I've never ever taken out of the package. I've never even looked
Really?
at it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's still sitting in the package, brand
sure
new.
it powers up.
Well, I'm sure it powers up, but I've never even opened the box. I'm not even real sure why I needed that. It just, there it is. Oh, give me that.
The B2 has a fan.
Yes,
Wow,
that one is it. How much is that one?
92.
$100.
It's it's Linux based. That it reminds me a lot of that JVOS camera.
Yeah, I was thinking of that.
So that was their first. That was M5 Stack's first Linux based product, and now they're making a couple of other Linux based products. Good for them. I'm happy for them, but the price of that camera just seemed like because the JVOS I think was $50, so I was kind of like, why would I?
Oh, you have no
Then-
screen. No.
There's no screen. It reminds me a lot of that JVOS.
SSH.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of that JVOS. You deal with it without the screen. That J-Boss has
The mounting hardware in the back,
oh, yeah,
5 holes.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're not designing some of their Lego parts themselves, because that wouldn't be a standard Lego part. And this thing that I've got the stick C plugged into wouldn't be a standard.
Lego Technics. The same shape.
Yeah, it's Technics, not Lego.
Okay,
Technics,
Technics.
it's Lego Technics. It's from
But they
Lego.
don't use the same layout of dots.
I could plug a Lego brick into those and it works.
Hmm.
In fact, I have plugged a Lego brick into those and it works. I always thought that was a Lego thing.
Maybe the holes and the dots of the Lego are compatible or something.
Yeah, I've set these without the connectors on top of the bricks, and it works just fine. Seems to me like it's a little, the bricks are a little shallow, you know, they got a little, but it works.
Put bricks on both sides.
Put bricks on both sides. I was looking, I knew I had more of these stupid things. I was looking for them the other day. You know where they were? In the box. And since I couldn't find them, I dealt with it another way. So now they're back in the box. And see, they've designed.
So this thing will use OpenCV, the Linux environment. Instead of,
As long as it's Python, I guess. Isn't that
you have plenty of power to do this.
isn't that April Tag program that they had, wasn't that based on the OpenCV?
I think so.
I think so.
They have Apple tags and they have Aruba tags. We have both.
Yeah.
I made some experiments, I think Raspberry Pi and the Apple tags. I don't remember. I need to check, but
The April tags have a different, the reason why M5 Stack supports April tags is because of the licensing. And you get weird results. They don't natively support their routers.
Apple tag are not open source or April tags are a BSD license, I think, and Aruku was an open kind of license, and then they changed their license, and now a lot of the microcontrollers and the hobby grade stuff don't support Aruku anymore because you can't pay for it. But the problem will be the final user, not the. They are making money.
Oh, we're out of time. Amazing. Amazing. We're getting.
Which direction are you rolling this?
However you'd like to. I usually roll it from bottom to top, but however you'd like to roll it. I'm not picky. I got the less than 5 minute warning, Art.
Okay,
I think we're gonna call it a day.
okay.
It's a day.
Take care. Have a good one. See you next week.
We'll see you next week.